Hi guys, welcome to Beyond Bricks. I'm your host, Kevin Stewart, and I've got someone here in the studio today, my good friend Doug Ferner from HITTquarters. The gym where I spend the bulk of my mornings, maybe not every morning. I wouldn't look like you, but I may look a little closer to you if I was there every morning. But a big part of my morning routine, and you guys have heard me talk for a while now about the importance of setting my day and starting my day off right. The big change in my life that I made in getting back in shape is because of the man sitting to my right. So Doug, thank you for coming on. Super excited to sit here and have a conversation with you today, and welcome to the show.
I appreciate that, Kevin. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I think you're being a little hard on yourself. I think you're doing a great job. You show up more often than not. And look, I mean, let's be frank, the progress that we've seen with you, and that's inside, outside, the whole picture has been phenomenal. I think more importantly, I've had the great privilege of getting to know your wife as well. And I think leading by example is a huge piece of this. And as a husband, as a father, both of us, I think it's important to set the tone and to lay the foundation for what's next for the family as well. So in all seriousness, you're doing a great job, and really happy to be here and have this conversation with you.
I love it. I'm super excited. So I remember I came into, it's been over a year. It's been probably,
oh my gosh,
a year and a half.
I can't
where
believe
I've been
that.
coming into the gym. I remember I had a couple of friends that were working out there that had told me that they really enjoyed it. And this is when you guys were just doing mostly the HIIT workouts.
Yeah.
Right? So you were mostly focused on HIIT. Quickly, before I go too far, explain to us what a HIIT workout is. For anybody that's listening and watching right now, what's a HIIT workout?
Yeah, without getting too into the weeds, HIIT, first of all, is HIIT, stands for high intensity interval training. It really just involves training at higher intensities for very short periods of time. Then you take a little bit of a rest, usually a shorter rest, and you get right back into the higher intensity activity. So some people call it heart rate training. Get your heart rate up pretty good, bring it back down for a little bit, then get it right back up there. So it allows you to accomplish a lot in a very short period of time.
That's the math behind it. For me, I did it because it was fun. And I did it because it was relatively short.
Yeah.
I could go in. I'm the person that has a hard time. I don't like going to a gym, showing up, paying a lot of money, walking around and going, okay, what do I do now?
Right.
The what do I do now is tragic for me. I've done the apps where the app tells you what to do, but there's nobody pushing you. I've done group fitness. That's okay. I've done a lot of different things inside of my workout routine. I've done all the way to full-blooded one-on-one personal training. I've done that as well. But your mix that you had when I first showed up, I liked the intensity of it. It was fun. There's music going. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
They're sweating their faces off. And right away I was like, well, I'm going to give this a try for a month or two, and immediately gravitated towards it.
Yeah, that place gets rocking pretty good,
It does.
doesn't it? I think for busy guys and girls like yourself, and you get your workout in before maybe the kids get up and the kids get off to school. I think time is our most precious resource for everybody. It's scarce. And one of the things that we always pride ourselves on is if you're going to choose to spend 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour with us out of your day, we make sure that we make it worth your while, right? It's something that we preach to our staff and something we've talked about since the day we first opened our doors. But to your point, I think what we provided and we continue to provide on the HIIT, and now we call it metabolic conditioning side, I think it's awesome. I really do. And there's a huge benefit to it on the health side. So we can get into the physical benefits at some point, I'm sure, but on the mental side, and then for your scheduling sake, for time's sake, super convenient and highly effective.
And I'm glad that you brought up the mental piece, because for me, working out is as much about mental stability, energy. It's about challenging myself, right? I have to have one-on-one personal decisions in the middle of workouts. Do I stop or do I not?
Yeah. Call those business decisions.
Yeah, those are business decisions. Business, that's great. I have to make those decisions. And so I'm the person that the amount of times I tell myself inside of a workout, if your team was watching right now, if your company was watching right now, would you stop?
I love it.
And I'm like, nope, I would not, because I'm not that dude. If people are watching and people are paying attention, I can't be the guy that quits. I have to do one more. And that's always been my mentality. And your gym does a good job of providing that, because everyone, I think, is having some of those moments.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that kind of touches on a broader topic. And I've heard you speak about this in the past, the idea of leadership. And are you a leader? Are we all natural born leaders, or do we develop that over time? And I think the fact that you grapple with that and you say, hey, if my team was watching me right now, or I always say, if my kids were watching me right now, would they be proud of their dad? And that's something that I carry with me in everything that I do, inside the gym, outside the gym. And the fact that you kind of think the same way, it tells me a lot about you. I think that's a great thing. So yeah, it doesn't hurt that at our facility, you do have a trainer barking at you if you're not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do try to support you in any way that we can. And some of you guys and girls can take a little bit more of a beating, verbal or otherwise, than others. And you're one of those guys. So I do enjoy my mornings where I get to yell at you a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you look forward to the workout. I look forward to, I get to yell at Kevin today. So it's a pretty good deal for both of us.
It is. You enjoyed it. It's fun. So give me let's start on the journey, right? So when did you guys start the gym? What led you to starting a gym, right? A lot of people that listen to this podcast that I've felt strongly about is helping people find their passions, following their gut, following the things that they want to do that bring them energy, that fulfill their life in a way outside of just a job. And I can tell, and anybody watching today can tell, you pay attention to your physical fitness. There's no doubt about that, because you don't just talk about it, you live it. You are about it. So
for sure.
Give us the story of that transition. What led you? Because this isn't just you, this is you and your wife.
It is. Right? Yeah.
So, this is
we're all in, Kevin.
This is a family business. And so share with us the story of that, because I'm not sure I've ever heard it and I'm curious to hear it. Give me the story of how this all started.
Gosh, how long you got? I feel like a lot of people, I really took the scenic route to get to where I am today. And I don't mean that in all the good ways. Gosh, and you mentioned, you said the word gut, about 30 seconds ago. And that always sticks out, because how I started my journey is, like a lot of people that get into health, I got really sick. When I was a senior in college, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. But I didn't go to the doctor, the emergency room, for probably 3 months. I was experiencing what I would say were pretty uncomfortable symptoms. I'm going to be open and honest here. I think that's why I'm here.
Good.
I think one of the things I dislike the most when I listen to podcasts or watch interviews is like the non-answer. Drives me crazy. So, full disclosure. So I played soccer in college, always physically fit. But when I got sick, for example, I didn't go to the bathroom, like a normal bowel movement, for like 3 months. Ooh. Did not go to the bathroom. I was still playing. I was cramping like crazy. I was always uncomfortable. I still played because that's all I knew, right? Had some other symptoms too. Crazy irritability. I was always upset. I started dropping weight. I just, lo and behold, I wasn't absorbing my food. Anyway, long story short, I got really sick. I went to the emergency room. They gave me some medications, went through the whole colonoscopy thing. That was fun. Diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Surgeon tells me, hey, you don't have to make any lifestyle changes as long as you stay on this medication for the rest of your life. So I think at the time I was taking 2 pills a day. Fast forward about a month, those pills had caused several other side effects and reactions. They had given me the wrong dosage of the medication, right? So I think, honest mistake, whatever. It took a little bit longer to correct than I think it should have. But so they altered the dose and then gave me a few more medications to combat the side effects I was experiencing, right? So after all that, I think I was taking 4 or 5 different medications, upwards of 10 pills a day. And dude, I was miserable. I still wasn't putting on weight. I couldn't go to the bathroom unless I was taking this medication. And one night I'm in my apartment. I can't sleep. I'm miserable. I was sweating every night. I'd wake up in a pool of sweat. And I got on my laptop. And I started Google searching ulcerative colitis and like, what can I do? I stumbled on this natural medicine website And it directly addressed ulcerative colitis and said, if you just make these changes in diet and lifestyle, in your diet and lifestyle, you can basically control this thing to the point where it goes away entirely. Right? And this is an autoimmune disease, right? So if you talk to, in allopathic medicine, they're taught and we're told as patients, like, you have this forever. It's never going away. So that day, based on what I read in that website, I stopped eating gluten, which I didn't even know what gluten was. And I stopped eating dairy, which of course, milk, cheese, so I had to look up like, what's gluten? Largely bread, right, at the time. So I started just eliminating gluten and dairy. And after months and months of misery, and I went cold turkey off medication as well in conjunction with this. After months of being miserable, within 3 days, I was like 100% back to being 100% normal. I was totally normal after 3 days. Going to the bathroom, my skin, my color looked better. My mental clarity was better. And within about a week, I was putting weight back on. So that's how I got started. It's like, okay, maybe there's something to this natural health piece, right? Now, I didn't go into health after college. My degree was in economics and finance. I went into wealth management for several years, but I always knew that wasn't what I wanted to do forever. So, I saved some money. I built some good relationships in the bank. And over time, I started talking to my dad. So my dad owned and operated a small business for 26 years. Invaluable resource for me, right? A guy I can always bounce ideas off of. And hey, he's my best friend, mentor. Absolutely love him. Love you, Dad. So I said, hey, what are your thoughts on this? What if we open a nutrition store? So we started looking at a couple of different franchises, nutrition store franchises. I won't name them here, but we were looking at 2. We got all the way to the point where we were going to fly out to the headquarters of each and basically make a decision. We're going to go with A or B, and that's the company we're going to hitch our wagon to. Before we made our first trip out to the headquarters, we were looking at their product list one final time, and I just said, dude, talking to my dad, I said, I don't think I would take any of these products. There's a bunch of additives and fillers, and I just don't think I would personally take them. It's going to be hard for me to sell them. So we went back to the drawing board. So, oh man, we can't do this. What if we open up our own? But the products have to be what we've deemed to be clean, right? So again, apology for the long-winded story here, but we were going to open a nutrition store. That's it. So we started looking at spaces, and we liked Rochester. I'm from Bloomfield originally. We liked Rochester because the demographics, everything just seemed to work out really well for what we were looking for. So we found a space. It was an old Radio Shack. It was too big. It's like, all right, it was like 3,000 square feet. You just don't need 3,000 square feet for a nutrition store. So it took us 6 months of looking, and we found nothing else. 6 months later, we circle back to this old Radio Shack. It's still vacant. And we say, okay, let's see if we can fill this thing. Let's throw a juice and smoothie bar in there. These are hot right now, but it's got to be organic. And guess what? It has to taste good. Okay, I'm sick of going to these other ones. I just don't love the taste. These have to taste good. So after we threw in a juice and smoothie bar, there was still 1,000 extra square feet of space. Like, dude, what are we going to do? So like, all right, well, what if we put like a studio in there, like a HIIT studio? And we're going to try to address all of the ills in the boutique fitness, in my opinion, the ills in the boutique fitness industry today. I don't like having to wait for classes. I don't like when things fill up. I want to be there for an hour, hour and a half, right? So we're like, okay, we'll throw in a HIIT studio in that 1,000 square foot space. And as long as it covers its butt and rent and sends business to the nutrition and smoothie side, it did its job. So we put it in there. Here we are 9 years later. It turns out the gym was the main driver of the business. So as you know, we've
the main attraction. You didn't even know it.
That's right. Yeah. So this is actually a really good lesson, I think, for any business owner. And no matter how far along in the process you are, you can never be stuck in your ways, right? You got to be willing to evolve and adapt. And even if you think what you're doing currently is right and best, you got to follow the numbers, right? And really what people are telling you that they want. So as you know, 5 years ago, we moved downtown. So we moved locations 5 years ago to downtown Rochester, which we absolutely love. I know you do too. And we just expanded the gym space, got rid of the juice and smoothie bar, and we have more of a limited supplement offering. Mm-hmm. So the business has totally flipped, turned upside down on its head. Like the piece I threw in as our filler, like, man, I just got to fill this space, is now what we do every day.
That's the prime.
So yeah. And again, I know that was a really long-winded answer, but I think it's worth telling. I don't tell this story as often as I used to.
Well, and long-winded doesn't matter. What it does is it gives context and brings in a lot of the pieces of what brought you to where you are today. And what I believe people need to hear more of in life is that this is a journey. And just because you decided one day that vitamins and supplements and things like that was where you wanted to go, well, life took you on a different journey. It started there. You listened to your gut and you went out of a job that may have felt safe and went into something that was more of an entrepreneurial, this is on me now. And then you let life take you and you listened, you paid attention, you listened to what the consumer wanted, you followed the math, right? And then brought yourself to this. And one thing that you do that I'm not sure people out there will realize, and where I've appreciated and where my family and my wife have highly benefited of it, because she's not able to work out. Her physical health, she does physical therapy, but on the type of scale that we work out, it would be very difficult. She's hoping that one day she'll feel good enough to where she can come in and work out. But right now, that's just not the day. But you guys have still intervened and stepped in with my family to say, because of the story that you went through, to say, let's talk about diet. Let's talk about how you're eating and how what you're putting in and ingesting into your body. And I've learned a ton from you. I've had to Google a lot of things because I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about right now. And I guarantee, and I think you would argue, and I've heard you say, you can work out all you want, but if you want to really be healthy, your diet is every bit as important. And you guys provide diet and process to people. So you help people learn how to eat better. Touch on that a little bit. Has that always been a part of the plan? Has that always been a piece of what you guys are wanting to do?
Yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned, nutrition was our main objective when we first opened. I say we, because my dad helped me out with the business for sure, which, again, thank you, Dad. You're the best and cheapest labor we've ever had. I miss those days. He's now fully retired and, doing what he should be doing in life. But yeah, nutrition was always a focal point for us. I remember when we first opened, again, the gym was kind of like an afterthought. So we would do nutrition consultations with people that would come in. For what it's worth, I'm a fitness nutrition coach. I'm also a certified holistic nutritionist. And truthfully, to some extent, I guess the credentials matter to some people, but a lot of this stuff is self-taught. A lot of what I'm sharing with you now and just through my experience, of course, it's anecdotal, but you can't ignore the result, right? I think several physicians say this, but the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Ooh.
Right. And I really like that one because I'm not going to take the time to go to medical school or anything like that. So anyway, yes, nutrition was always a big part of what we do. And it's only gotten bigger, ironically, since we switched to the gym model. I had to make sure that it was still a huge part of what we offer to our members. So I do think that's what really closes the loop in terms of like the fitness, health, and wellness journey for anyone that I come across, right? So now nutrition, coaching, guidance, programming is a part of every membership at the gym.
Yep.
Right now, it's up to you guys if you want to use it or not. Some people use it all the time. I'm in constant communication with them. Some people are like, yeah, I'll kind of check in once a quarter or whatever it is. But to your point, I do think nutrition is what moves the needle the most. I think in the fitness industry, there's really two sides to the coin, and really health in general. So I think you can work out and eat to achieve aesthetics, right? And you can do that truthfully by eating ultra processed foods, eating horrible foods that don't necessarily make you healthier. But if you're in a caloric deficit, guess what? You're probably going to lose weight. If you're eating enough protein, clean or not, and you're working out hard, you're probably going to put on some lean muscle and you're going to look better in the mirror, more likely than not. But are you actually healthier? It'd be interesting to see what your blood panels say. Now, the other side of the coin is eating to achieve internal health, right? So we talk about all the time, reconditioning the gut bacterially, right? So the microbiome is a buzzword. A lot of people are familiar with it today. How do we re-optimize the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut, right? Rebalancing the hormones. How do we, and of course, we're talking about the sex hormones, right? But also things like your hunger hormone, that fullness and satiety hormones, the blood sugar stabilization hormone. How do we make sure those things are functioning properly? And then, of course, introducing more anti-inflammatory wave. And all this is nuanced, right? Because foods that serve me well may not serve you well. So there's going to be some trial and error. But then trying to reduce systemic inflammation. That's kind of the approach that we take with most people. But again, eating to achieve internal health could look very different than eating to achieve aesthetics, right? So in our facility, we've kind of made it our mission to do both simultaneously. And more often than not, we found that if you heal the inside, recondition the gut, rebalance hormones, reduce systemic inflammation, the outside follows suit every single time.
That's one of the biggest things that I've appreciated with working out with you guys. And it's actually where I need to get more focused coming into the summertime, because I've been pretty lazy with it lately on my food intake. When I pay a lot of attention, when I listen to you and actually do what you tell me to do from a food intake standpoint, when I get really dialed in on that, it's amazing how, like you said, all the other pieces start falling in. All the puzzle pieces start getting really simple to find, and your body reacts, your workouts get better. Your energy level throughout the day is higher. Because when I first came in, I was dealing with major gut health issues. Like, everything felt wrong. I was having a lot of what felt like health issues. I was like, dude, I'm 40 years old and I feel like I'm falling apart. I remember telling you that. I was like, I feel like I'm falling apart.
I remember that too, yeah.
And, I came out in a tear, lost a bunch of weight, got in really good shape. And then this time last year, blew my knee apart. Right?
I remember that too.
Blew my knee apart. And I remember texting you. You were one of the first people I texted. Like, so guess what? We've got a serious issue. I don't know if I'm going to need surgery. I don't know what's going to do. And you said to me, do you remember what you said?
I said, you better keep coming in, right?
You something along those lines, but it was more than that. You said, don't worry, we're going to get through it together.
Yeah.
You actually encouraged me. You said, don't worry, we're going to get through this. It's fine. We're going to get through this, and we're going to work through this. You're not giving up. You encouraged me to say, stuff happens, man. Sometimes knees go, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get through this, and we're, come in. I was there in a knee brace, could barely move. We adjusted all the trainers knew. You'd let all of them know. And they were careful to come and be like, hey, you're not doing that exercise. You're going to do it this way. This is still going to give you something. Let's work through it. And I remember sitting in physical therapy, telling the physical therapist, she's like, well, you're going to need surgery. Like, you're only here for like logistical reasons. Like, you're here for insurance reasons.
This is a formality.
This is a formality. Like,
you love when your therapist tells you
your
that.
knees kind of toast. And I remember telling her, I said, we're going to heal this the good old fashioned way. I said, I'm going to work really hard in here. I'm going to figure out a way to heal my knee without a knife. And I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to fix this here. We're going to fix this knee.
Love it.
And I still haven't had surgery. I get a little bit of pain every now and again. I still have certain movements that I'm careful of. I'm not throwing 400 pounds on my back and doing squats.
Yeah,
right?
that's okay.
Which is okay. But I've avoided surgery thus far. And very, very glad that I did that.
Yeah, for sure.
And learning from you guys at the gym, and it's not just you, it's the trainers you hire, the people that you have surrounding you. Because unfortunately, I don't get to see you a ton because I'm one of the first two classes in there, right? I'm the 615er.
Yeah.
And that's come summertime, I see you more because I generally switch my time back a little bit later.
Golf season?
Yeah, golf season. So I go back a little bit and start a little later. But in the wintertime, with having my son go to the bus, I make sure that I'm in early so I can get home and dial in as a dad.
Yeah.
But that part of my morning routine is vital, but all the other things that come with it are really what make it worthwhile. That's what becomes the key. And then the support from you guys in that as well.
Yeah. So to your point, we are very fortunate to have the staff that we do. I mean, it took us 10 years to get to this point with this staff. And the quality that they bring every day is something that we are very blessed to have, because we didn't have that for a long time. But I think you kind of hit on a few things there. If you get injured and you have to miss a big chunk of time exercising, I think the deleterious effects of that, I think, are a lot greater than people realize. I think there's like risk reward with everything, with every life decision you make, right? In business, whatever. So is the reward of back squatting 400 pounds, is that worth the risk of blowing out your knees, your hips, your backs, I mean, with that, a lot of things go there, right? The answer for most of us, especially once we cross the age of like, I don't know, like 25, 30, certainly 30, 40.
I'd say 30.
It's like, no, it's not worth it, right? Because you miss a big chunk of time. It's going to take you a while to get back to where you were pre-injury, right? So, you know, when you sent me that text, it's one of the things that we talk to all of our members about. Is like, we're here to support you. You know, even when sometimes you don't want to necessarily support yourself in this endeavor any longer, we want you to know that we're always here for you, and we will work with you to modify and adjust whatever we have to make sure that we don't lose or go back on the progress that we've already made, right? And to your point, you talk about, you know, the positive benefits and impacts exercise has on you. It's far more than just physical, right? So like, and you can answer this, but I can too. Like, does it make you a better business owner? Yeah. Right.
Without a doubt.
Right.
The energy I have through the day and my ability to be a leader, my ability to take care of the people around me and to be the best person I can be. This show is all about that. It's all about finding the best version of yourself and really making sure that you look internally and find that. I cannot find that if I'm out of shape. Because I have to be, first and foremost, the only thing that we can't get back is our health and time, right? Like,
well said. Yeah.
And those are two things that we don't get more of. And for me to make the most of my time, I need my health.
Yeah.
And there's not a person out there that has lost health that wouldn't trade anything else for it.
I feel like Steve Jobs is like the classic example.
Yes.
Right. Guy had everything you could possibly ask for except for his health.
And he lost his health.
Right. And lost his health. So I totally agree with that. Of course. Right. Makes you a better leader, you know, and you're now showing your team, you're showing your family, your wife, your kids, and your wife has experienced quite a bit of adversity as well. Right. But you're now showing, like, in the face of adversity, the show goes on. Right. And I'm going to continue to persist and progress throughout this, even on one leg.
Well,
right?
and it's still the mental challenge. And for guys like us and individuals like us, I believe that we have to have the mental challenge of, you know, all right, it didn't go the right way, but what if? It's the, you know, over there, Mamba mentality. It's the Kobe story when he blew out his Achilles tendon and
still hit 2 free throws.
Yeah. Still hit 2 free throws and then goes on and tweets that famous rant at like 2 a.m. about how his everything hurts. My whole body's worn down. I'm too old. I can't come back. This is probably it. Or is it? Or is it? And that's when his famous line, one of my favorite lines, if you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear.
I love it.
Because that was his mindset. And actually post-injury, his career was incredible. And I think that was when Mamba mentality really started to become a thing, because people started to ask about the comeback and started to ask of what keeps you going. And it was here. It was all in his mind. It was in what he believed was a driving factor for his life. And what I would argue became his legacy. I think that statement became his legacy more than anything he did on the court.
I agree.
And a lot of it happened because of things like the Achilles injury, or the video of when he, you know, breaks his finger and goes over to the trainer and he puts it back in place and then he goes back on the court. Like, that's just who he was. And I believe what we do in the face of adversity makes us who we are.
I couldn't agree more. That guy was a different breed.
Completely
right?
different breed.
It's funny you have that back there, because in my office at home, I have this huge canvas Mamba mentality thing that Taylor, my wife, got for me for I think my birthday one year. So I have something very similar in my office set up at home. If you think back to Kobe too, when he ruptured his Achilles, that was at a time where no one no one really came back from that.
Ever.
Right? It ruined several careers, prior to that, especially in the NBA. It was kind of like a death sentence for athletes, though. He came back, had a historic season, right? I think the following year, or when he was able to come back. But that does speak volumes. I agree. I think Kobe's second half was actually building up to be a lot more impressive than his first.
Mm-hmm.
That was, he's like my favorite. It's funny we're talking about this. He's like my favorite athlete of all time. So,
and he was my favorite athlete when he was playing. He's my favorite athlete now because I've learned who he actually was.
Right. I feel like a lot of people probably share that same sentiment about him. Yeah. Especially outside of LA.
Yeah. Cause I don't think he was sharing who he was when he was a player. He was dialed in on being the best player he could be. But then all the stories started coming out later as he's entering retirement and as he's in retirement. And then now after his passing, the person that he really was and what drove him to be the way he was. And that's what's pulled it out of a lot of people of going, dude, this dude was different.
Yeah.
And if we pay attention, there is an incredible amount we could learn from his life that has nothing to do with basketball.
I totally agree. It makes you wonder if social media were around back then, the way that it is today, would we know a little bit more about him?
Yeah.
On his day to day and like how he really thinks, especially throughout his playing career. That would have been really interesting.
It would have been very interesting. I still think we're not far from a full-blooded movie documentary on his life. I'm hoping that comes out.
Hope it happens
soon. I hope it happens, like the full story. It'd be really neat to see. So tell me, you guys made a shift, and let's talk a little bit about business because I watched it because I was a part of it. You made a shift from, when I first came in, it was primarily, it was 7 days a week HIT. You were writing for me 2 days a week of lifting because you said to me, you're like, look, I want you to lift weights. I think it's important for you, important for your physical fitness. I want you to do the HIT because I think it's going to be good for your lungs. It's going to be good for helping you lose weight and get back in shape. But we need you lifting weights. You then shifted your business plan. How long has it been now? 6-8 months?
Yeah, no, it's been over a year. I think in March it was a year.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Again, can't get it back.
Yeah.
Flies,
right.
So for a year, you've shifted your business plan to a different format. So explain that and explain the kind of the reasons and rationale for why that went down.
Well, I think this is another good example of like, you have to, I think my greatest attribute as a business owner, as a husband, as a father, as a man, is I know what I don't know, right? And I'll never pretend to know everything because I know that I don't, right? So it's a good example of our business evolving in a way that best serves our members and trying to get you guys to your healthiest and fittest selves, right? So as we age, and look, our average member, we have some younger guys and girls in there, but our average member is 35 and up, right? Really probably call it like 40 to 55-ish is probably like our niche, men and women alike. And as we age, and let's just say 40 is that number. Once we hit 40 and up, weight and resistance training becomes more and more important, right? Things like bone mass, bone density, they can be great indicators of longevity, right? But we all know someone, I've heard stories where someone who's elderly, maybe they fall down, they break a hip, and then their health just deteriorates significantly from there. They never seem to get back to where they were prior to the fall, right? So those are things that aren't lost on us. And look, a lot of our men and women experience some level of hormonal disarray, right? 40 and up. And that can look very different for everybody, but strength training can go a long way towards helping to correct and rebalance some of those things. So the shift that you're referring to is we incorporated more strength days into our like dedicated strength days program, those into everyone's weekly routine throughout every week and every month, right? So 3 dedicated strength days. We have a very common split, I would say, in the workout world, a pull, push, legs split. I like those 3 versus doing like, chest and tries, backs and buys, because when you work in pull, push, legs, now you're working in movement patterns. So if you want to get a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic with your movements, you can. You don't have to. Again, that's something that looks different for everybody in our gym, but we can really scale these things up now to get explosive if we want to and when it's appropriate, right? So now we do the 3 strength days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we do metabolic conditioning days. So we went from HIIT to Metcon, or metabolic conditioning, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Now, metabolic conditioning, the methodology or the theory behind it is very similar to HIIT. Heart rate gets up, bring it back down a little bit, get it right back up there. But it does allow us to play a little bit more with the format and things. I do like to think the new Metcons are kind of like the old HIIT workout, just on steroids a little bit.
They are on steroids.
Yeah.
The old HIIT workouts were tough at times, and not all of them were super tough, and some of them were crazy tough. These Metcons are no joke.
They're the real deal. Like if you like, you can kick your butt as much as you want to in these things. Like it'll be as much as you can handle. One of the reasons we did this though is now we know what everyone in our gym is doing every single day of the week. So now if Monday is pull day, Tuesday's Metcon from a programming standpoint is it's going to make a lot more sense because of what you did the day before and what we have planned for push day the next day. Mm-hmm. Right. So now the programming, I think it's a lot more cohesive, where we're not hitting the same muscle groups, back to back to back days. I
will tell you, I'm terrified for leg day tomorrow because today's Metcon.
Well, Kevin, you should be.
It was no joke. Today's leg workout was super intense. It was a good one. Actually, it was a very sweaty workout today. Like I sweat a ton today. I don't know what it was about
I'll take that as a compliment.
It was a good thing.
Well, what'd you do last night?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was full sweat. To where Tuesdays was. I mean, everybody that finished when we finished, we're like on the ground for 5 minutes. It was that kind of one on Tuesday. Tuesdays was a banger.
So I'll let you know a little secret. So I program all the Metcons still. The guys do the strength days. Mm-hmm. That's kind of their forte. I usually front load the Metcon. So Tuesday is going to be your butt kicker.
Real.
Thursday's a little more like, okay, we're 4 days into this work week. Like let's kind of ease into Friday. So we can't just beat you up every day.
Yeah.
So you have to respect the rest and recovery process. And I like to call it active recovery. I get some blood flow in there and things. So I think that serves you guys pretty well too.
Because there was nothing necessarily all that difficult about today. It wasn't overly intense movements. Just with starting with the run and the lunges the way we did, immediately I got my heart rate up. So that way the rest of the workout, all the other movements that we did, my heart rate was high, right? My heart rate stayed in probably a really good spot throughout the whole workout today.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
So are you guys, so you're setting most of those up, which does not surprise me one iota. So I have a question.
Do I have a style? Yeah.
You do. So this will be interesting because I'm a competitive person. You've probably seen
you don't
gym
say
before.
Yeah.
I'm a very competitive person. And so I'm the one that's always trying to hit your goal numbers.
I like it.
You'll always have on the board we're going for this amount in this amount of time, this distance, this, you're trying to go this hard for this amount of reps, whatever the case is. All of these workouts, can you hit those totals the whole time?
So I write the high end rep ranges and distance ranges. That's what I hit.
Okay. So with this, if I can get through a workout, I'm nearing your level, the
Correct.
whole workout.
Correct.
Okay. That makes me feel good. Cause I've been like low key telling myself for a long time, I'm like, well, that's what Doug does.
Yeah.
And if it's okay if you can't get all the way there because you're not Doug.
So it's what I do. Oftentimes it's what my wife, Taylor, can do as well.
Well, I don't doubt that. She's in amazing shape.
So every time she and I work out together, we stopped getting competitive. We found that it wasn't
probably good for your marriage.
Most healthy dynamic. Yeah. If we wanted to stay married. But I will say, and just like I'm sure your wife does for you as well, man, she pushes me in so many ways, and not just in the gym, but outside the gym. Like not to go on a relationship tangent here, but she has just made me a better man in every single facet, and so I'm so lucky to have her. But in the gym, dude, she's a beast, man.
She's a beast. She's no joke.
Like we go in there on Sundays or something, Sunday afternoon, and yeah, I'm trying to keep up with her usually.
Yeah,
honestly.
She really is. She's a beast. So here's another question, because I can tell you it's something that I always will tell the other trainers. I'm like, you got to give me a number. So how do you feel about the go till failure. How does that work for you? And then I'm going to tell you my perspective on it.
Well, I think it depends on the exercise. So you're talking like a body weight exercise till failure,
could be a body
or
weighted
exercise?
Push-ups to failure, could be a weighted, anything. Because every once in a while, usually there's a goal number. And then every once in a while in a workout, it's not all the time. There'll be push-ups till failure will be the mix, right? That you're doing this, then you're going push-ups to failure.
I think everyone would prefer to have a number to shoot for, like myself included. That said, you actually bring up a good point here. I think more people need to get a little bit more comfortable training to or near failure. And that's whether it's a weighted exercise or not. And it's the way that best stimulates the muscle to grow. So you can get a lot more accomplished in a shorter amount of time, and you can perform less sets, less reps just by going to failure.
So I think my mind, this is just the way you're going to get an insight into my weird brain.
No.
When you say to failure, or if you give me a number, I can almost guarantee you I'll do more if you give me a number.
Yeah, you're probably right. Now, just to be clear, the definition of failure, this isn't one of those where it's like, hey, it's different for you than it is for me. It should be the same for everybody. Failure means you physically, not mentally, physically cannot do anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I think like the amount of times where I physically can't do anymore and there's a big number there and I'm getting near the number, I will somehow mentally now find a way to squeeze out 2 more because I think my mind can get my body to do more than my body's ready to do.
Well, you know what? I might put that theory to the test. I might start putting some outrageous rep numbers in there.
So I'm serious. Like
that's something
that I'm curious about is because I've had the guys before. I'm like, well, okay, so what's a big number? Like, and they're like, if you can do 12, then that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And so then I'll go down and I'll do 12, and I'm like, okay, what's the real number? Right. So maybe I just need to start asking, what's Doug's number?
Yeah, maybe that's more appropriate.
How many if Doug was doing this, how many would he do? Because that needs to be the new mental push. Because I can tell you when it's to failure, I'll get to like 8 or 9 or 10. And I'm like, there's still more to this workout. I should probably stop. Right. My mind won't let my body go to failure in that. To where if it's like, you need to do 20 of these, knowing darn well, I probably can only do 15. Right? My body will do 17 because my mind told it, don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. Because it goes back to if my team was watching right now and watched me quit, I couldn't look at them in the face later.
I feel like a lot of former athletes, and you and I are kind of in that camp, former competitive athletes. I think a lot of us have that same mentality where it's like, when we need to turn it on, we will turn it on. Have you introduced any level of like a competitive element to it? Then it's like all systems go.
And that's when it gets real fun in the gym is when you get the right mix of people and you get the right 2 or 3 people you're working out with and you get that like look to the side, like you're going faster than I am. You're not going to beat me.
Yeah. I love that.
And I love that. My favorite. Whenever that happens, today I'm working out and there's only 2 of us working out. I don't know what was going on today. I don't know if everybody just had a weird night last night, but there were 2 of us in the gym this morning, and the gentleman I was working out with in the second run, so it was the second piece of the workout, he was ahead of me, and I was like, how's he moving so fast? And so we got to this portion of the workout where I was like, I'm about to go real hard, and I just looped him after that.
Well, did you ask him if he has any torn ligaments in his knees? Because it's not really apples to apples here.
It wasn't apples to apples, but it was still me having a person next to me. And I can tell you, I probably don't go as hard in the middle there if he wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was actually important. And he said, when I showed up, he said, oh my gosh, thank goodness you're here. He goes, working out alone is the worst.
Yeah.
And I think that is, in tying a bow around what you guys do, at least what I believe is a key piece, is that we're not doing this alone. Showing up and going and doing things by yourself sucks. I hate doing things alone. Doing things together is better, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great line. And health is a longevity play. Working out is a longevity play. It's about extending the time we have here on this earth because health is what gets us farther.
Yeah.
And so the longevity play of it is I don't want to do that by myself. If I get a gym membership or work out at my house, I'm only going to go so far. If I'm with someone like you, surrounded by the team that you have, working out with the other members of the gym, I'm able to go a whole lot farther than what I would ever be able to do alone.
I totally agree. You know, and one of the things that we do really well at the gym now, and we make it a point, is we celebrate the small wins, right? So you've noticed we have PR days every single month, right? So we test on some of our bigger lifts. And when guys and girls PR, like we make a point to really congratulate them, you know, obviously high fives, things, pictures, put it on the board. Like you guys should feel accomplished when you reach new heights.
We do.
Right. And I hope you feel that sense because we're really proud of you. For us, it's vindication for us. Like, hey, what we're doing is working. There's nothing better than celebrating a new PR. You know, it's like the coolest thing. These are guys and girls that a lot of times when they first joined here, they were scared to lift weights. And now like all they want is to set their own new personal records every single month on some of these big lifts. So it's pretty cool to see. I think a lot of that is like, you know, it's a testament to the community that's been built. And you know, a lot of people say, man, they'll come to say, you built this really great community here. It's amazing. I said, I didn't do anything. Like the members build the community. And all my sales meetings I have with, you know, prospective members, I tell them like one of the coolest things about our facility is the community and culture that the members have created. They've done it amongst themselves where you guys hold one another accountable. You celebrate each other. You see each other outside of the gym, you know? So I think that is a very cool aspect of what we have here at HQ.
Well, and I think it's one of the beauties and aspects of choosing the location you did. I'm super glad you picked the location you did because I wouldn't have found you without it. And Rochester in and of itself is that. It's a community of trust and of taking care of each other and being around those and getting to know. It's a pretty tight-knit community. And I don't think people realize that. And your gym is another great testament to how powerful and strong that is and how many people have taken on a great fitness journey and improved their lives because of your location, because of what you're doing in Rochester.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have made Rochester our home. To your point, the people are fantastic. The city is great to work with, actually, and you know some others aren't. You know, a lot of people have experience with that. But actually, I'd like to share something that I actually haven't announced publicly yet. Super excited about it.
Exclusive?
Been working on it for a while.
Beyond Bricks first.
This is an exclusive. I guess so. Yeah, maybe.
This will be our first like big announcement that we've had on the show.
This is the first time I'm saying it publicly. So, real quick, just to provide some context, I've always asked myself, like, I feel like we've always been reactive in our business. Like the trend is going this way, so we have to adapt, right? So I asked myself, and this is a while ago, where is boutique fitness going? And how do I get in front of it? How do I be at like the head of the curve here? And so from everything I can tell, boutique fitness is getting hyper specific, right? If you want the big box gym experience where you're one of thousands and you're merely, you know, a card swipe entry, like that's fine. But I don't think that's what boutique fitness is now, and certainly not where it's going. So if we're getting hyper specific, how can I ensure that our members are actually getting healthier? Like I see your body composition changing. I see you getting stronger. You tell me you feel better, but absent appropriate blood work and blood panels, I have no idea if you're actually getting healthier, right? So we're doing something a little bit different. For the last several months, I've been looking for another location to open another HQ. Just go to another place, try to replicate what we've done, expansion, right? Plug and play. Found a couple spaces that were interesting that fit the bill. It just didn't excite me. The idea of doing what we do now, just somewhere else, it doesn't appeal to me. And I think Rochester's is a big reason for that, right? So I told Taylor, my wife, I don't want to do this. I'm sorry I've wasted your time for the last several months. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to expand to a second location anymore is what I mean, just to be clear. So here's what we're doing. Moving forward, so I'm about to sign a lease on a new space in downtown Rochester. Okay. we are going to start offering full blood panels to our members. We've partnered with a lab.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking full blood panels, not the panel you get at like your primary care physician. I'm talking like the integrative, functional, 120 biomarkers in these blood panels. So not to get like too specific here, but if you go get like your lipid panel, your cholesterol done, usually get your total cholesterol, your HDL, your LDL, maybe triglycerides, maybe one or two others. We're going to get very in depth here because that doesn't paint the whole picture. We're going to talk about particle size, the number of particles, and several other metrics that in reality may be a lot more indicative of your long-term health.
Mm-hmm.
So full blood panels for members. In this new space, I'm building out a recovery center as well. By the way, in order to do this, I had to partner with a physician. So I have a physician on staff with this new setup. Full blood panels, infrared saunas with red light towers, cryo chamber, full body cryo chambers. So not the nitrogen one where your head is sticking out of the top. You're fully immersed in this cryo chamber. Also hired a stretch therapist.
Love that.
Where you get 1 hour sessions every week as part of your membership. IV therapy. So we have a nurse practitioner on board. Going to administer the IV therapy. Compression sleeves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're specifically for the lower half, right? So those Normatec compression sleeves. DEXA scans. So now our body composition measurements are going to be as accurate as they come. VO2 max testing, which recent research shows that might be the number one indicator of longevity. So are we actually getting more fit on the cardiovascular side, right? On the respiratory side. Resting metabolic rate testing as well. So we're getting really into the numbers here. We're combining and merging the clinical side of things with the gym nutrition piece. And part of this is you will have the ability to schedule appointments with our physician. We'll have office hours in our facility every single week. And I'm talking instant appointments, not like, hey, we can get you in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Then we can test your bloods in 3 weeks, 3 weeks after that. Then you might get your results 3 weeks after that. This is like instant.
You're able to get results, process those results, and then get to work.
Exactly.
On how to repair or fix those results.
That's right. So you get analysis, you get a game plan, an action plan, maybe food suggestions. Hey, here's some foods you want to bring. Bring more of these in. Here are foods you want to probably stay away from for a period of time.
Your life for a while.
Supplement suggestions. What's great about this, I think this is a big hole in the health spectrum. All of us have a physician. Most people have a trainer. Maybe you have a nutritionist. Maybe you have a masseuse or a stretch therapist. Maybe you go to an IV place. There's no communication amongst any of them. So now you have your physician, your trainer, your nutritionist, your stretch therapist. We're all talking to each other all the time. So if someone says, hey, Kevin, let's use you for example. Kevin's really stressed. His cortisol levels are crazy. I don't know if high intensity exercise is right for him right now. Now your exercise plan is best serving you from a health and longevity standpoint.
Because that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
It's health and longevity. It's not, I love that you guys focus on that. I'm super excited to get in the weeds with you on that. It's going to be really fun to experiment with because I'm doing this for longevity. I'm on the second half, but I'd like to have a really long second half.
Heck yeah.
And a super impactful second half. And the only way I do that is if I stay healthy and finding a way to make sure that myself and anyone that I'm around is as healthy as possible is the way that my life continues to be super, super cool. And I love that you guys are focusing on that. And it's going to create another really cool aspect to what you guys do because your ability to go through and think through all the different layers, it's not just about going in and lifting as much weight as you can. That's not what's going to,
right.
Well, that's not what we're going to keep you healthy for the next 20 years.
Right.
So you now get to look and say, this is how we need to do it. And this is where we need to do it. And that is invaluable for individuals in our community. That's really cool. Congratulations. That's
absolutely
super exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. We're excited too. We've been working on it for a while. We're going to undergo like a lengthy rebrand and, all that fun stuff. But this is, I feel like it's the first time in a while where I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And we're just really excited. Everyone that we brought on board, as far as like who's going to be on the team, we're all aligned in the way that we think. And I think this is going to allow us to make a much larger impact in the lives of our members, to where you're actually getting healthier. You might, ideally you live longer, quality of life remains exactly what you want it to be until your last breath. I'm in this, like you, how you've been alluding to throughout this, I'm in this to make a positive change in your life, right? Mm-hmm. And by positively impacting you, that positively impacts me, right? And I feel like that just compounds over time. So I think, we might be doing it in a slightly different way, but I think you and I have a very similar message.
Yep.
Very similar missions. Yeah.
Very similar missions and very similar whys into what we want to do and why we want to do it. And I love that. I think it's why we get along so well and why I'm just super excited about what you guys are going to do and being able to be next to you and be a part of it and be a great test case. To figure out how we do this.
Might have patient zero here.
Patient zero. That's awesome. So, Doug, again, thank you for coming on today. It's been a real blessing to sit. I loved hearing your story. I think it's inspirational. I love that you're another person that's come on this show that's listened to their gut really well and has, looked at things from an outside perspective, but does it from a genuine place that comes from your heart. And it's very easy to see and hear that you're doing it for the right reasons and you're doing it because you truly believe in making people healthy and helping people create longevity. And that's super, super special. Guys, anybody watching today, we're going to have Doug and his entire company's information, links to it. There's going to be a lot of ways to get a hold of him and his team. If you want to get a part of his fitness journey and be a part of this fitness journey with myself and everyone around me, reach out. There's space at the gym. There was only 2 in my class today, and it's so much more fun when there's 10. So if you want to work out at 6:15, you know where to find us. Guys, thank you again for watching today. Doug, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And as we've said, as you can see from Doug, being yourself is super important. He is himself. This is the natural person of who he is. And everybody that's out there, I challenge you to go out there and be yourself because the world needs you to be exactly who you are. Have a good day, guys. Bye.